What if you're not actually depressed, just spiritually starving? You wake up and something feels off. Not sadness, not panic, just a kind of weightless heaviness, like your life is happening in grayscale. You go through the motions, brush your teeth, reply to texts, show up where you're supposed to. You laugh at the right moments. You say, "I'm good, just tired." But the truth? You feel empty. Not in a dramatic movie scene kind of way, in a quiet, invisible way, a way that doesn't make sense. You have food, shelter, a job, people who care, maybe even a few things you used to be passionate about. But it all feels like wallpaper now, background noise. And so you do what everyone does. You reach for the next thing, the next video, the next task, the next scroll. And for a second, it works. A dopamine hit, a distraction, a momentary sense of motion. Not your mind, not your body, something deeper. Maybe you call it depression, maybe anxiety, maybe burnout, or maybe it doesn't have a name, just a feeling. Something's missing, and you don't know what. You've tried everything: productivity hacks, journaling, supplements, therapy, and yet the emptiness remains, because maybe the problem isn't a lack of motivation, but a lack of meaning. Maybe your soul is malnourished, starving in a world obsessed with speed, noise, and surface. And the worst part? You're not alone. This hunger is everywhere. In the late-night scrolling, in the eyes of commuters, in the influencers selling self-care while quietly falling apart. This isn't just a personal issue, it's a cultural one. Because we're taught how to build resumes, chase goals, collect likes, but no one ever taught us how to feed the soul. This crisis of meaning isn't new. The emptiness you feel, some of the greatest minds in history predicted it. Take Nietzsche. He wasn't just being dramatic when he said, "God is dead." He meant that the systems of meaning, religion, tradition, spirituality, had crumbled, and in their place, nothing real was growing. He warned that without something larger than ourselves, we'd fall into nihilism. And now, more than a century later, here we are, endlessly stimulated, profoundly lost. Then there's Kierkegaard. He called it the sickness unto death, not a physical sickness, a spiritual one, the despair of not becoming who you truly are. He wrote about the self as a relationship between who you are and who you're meant to become. And when that connection breaks, you suffer. It's not anxiety. It's not sadness. It's the pain of being spiritually unaligned, of living a life that looks fine on the outside, but feels wrong on the inside. Or Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor, psychiatrist, and author of Man's Search for Meaning. In the camps, he noticed something. The ones who survived weren't always the strongest. They were the ones with a why, a reason to live beyond themselves. After the war, he coined a term, the existential vacuum, a state of apathy, boredom, and despair that arises when life feels empty of meaning. Sound familiar? Frankl believed the search for meaning wasn't a luxury. It was a necessity, a psychological and spiritual hunger more vital than any biohack or morning routine. And yet today, we don't talk about meaning. We talk about productivity, efficiency, results. But meaning isn't something you earn. It's something you tune into, something ancient, something sacred. These thinkers weren't diagnosing individuals. They were warning about a world, a future, where people might have everything except a reason to live. And maybe that future isn't coming. Maybe it's already here. Look around you. The modern world isn't just indifferent to your soul. It actively starves it. Our economy runs on distraction. Our attention is the product. Our restlessness is monetized. We live in the age of endless feeds, curated lives, and infinite entertainment. But no stillness, no silence, no sacred pause. Every moment of potential reflection is filled. Waiting in line, scroll. Bored at dinner, check your notifications. Feeling uncomfortable? Distract. Escape, escape, escape. But in this constant flood of stimulation, something vital is lost. Depth. And it's not an accident. Silicon Valley figured out a long time ago that your boredom is dangerous, because it might wake you up. It might make you ask real questions. It might make you rebel. And so you're kept in a state of passive consumption, hooked not just by algorithms, but by the fear of being alone with your own thoughts. Even the self-help industry, the very thing meant to guide us, often feeds the problem, promising life hacks instead of life purpose, dopamine detoxes instead of deep transformation. And when that doesn't work, we blame ourselves for not being disciplined enough, for not manifesting correctly. But the truth is, you were never supposed to feel whole in a world that profits from your emptiness. This system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed. And what it's designed to do is disconnect you from yourself, from others, from anything deeper than the next metric. We're drowning in content but starving for wisdom, surrounded by noise but aching for meaning. And somewhere along the way, we forgot. The soul doesn't speak in likes or views. It speaks in silence, in stories, in presence. But we've built a culture where those things are rare, where rest is guilt, where depth is weird, where wonder is childish. No wonder we feel so lost. You are not broken, but the world you're trying to survive in just might be. And to heal, you have to step outside of it. So what does it actually mean to feed the soul? It means slowing down, not out of laziness, but out of reverence. It means choosing depth over speed, silence over noise, presence over productivity. Feeding the soul doesn't look impressive. It often looks like nothing at all. Staring at trees, sitting in stillness, rereading a poem until it cracks your heart open. It means asking questions without rushing to answers. Who am I, really? What matters beyond survival? What would my life look like if it were sacred? It means creating space for wonder, for awe, for the invisible parts of life that don't show up on a to-do list. It's not about escaping the world. It's about learning to see it differently. Because once you start feeding the soul, truly feeding it, everything changes. You stop needing constant validation. You stop chasing artificial highs. You begin to feel rooted. Rooted in something beyond achievement, beyond attention, beyond the endless grind. You start noticing the beauty in ordinary things, the stillness between moments, the aliveness in simple rituals. This is what ancient wisdom traditions tried to preserve before modernity drowned them out. Not rigid religion, but reverence. The idea that your life is not a problem to solve, but a mystery to live. That your worth isn't something you prove, but something you remember. That your soul isn't broken, just buried. Buried beneath the noise, the hustle, the algorithms, the pressure to perform. But it's still there, waiting for you to come home. And maybe that's where healing begins, not in doing more, but in coming home to what you already are, because you were never meant to be a machine. You were meant to be a soul, alive, awake, whole. So how do we actually begin to live soulfully? Not just think about it, but embody it. The answer isn't found in a step-by-step guide. It's found in practice, in rhythm, in small sacred habits that reconnect you to what's real. Start with solitude, not isolation, solitude. Time spent alone, not to escape, but to listen. To what? To yourself, to life, to whatever whispers beneath the noise. Take long walks without your phone. Watch how your thoughts unfold, not to judge them, but to witness them, to meet yourself without distraction. Then create, not to impress, to express. Write, paint, sing, dance, not because you're good at it, but because creation is how the soul breathes, even if no one sees it, especially if no one sees it. And connect deeply, not in passing comments or reactive DMs, but in slow conversations, in shared silences, in the presence of people who remind you who you are beneath all the performance. Find practices that bring you into the now. Meditation, prayer, journaling, reading ancient texts, not because it's trendy, but because it's timeless. And above all, protect your attention. Treat it as sacred, because it is. Whatever you give your attention to, you give your life to. Say no to things that hollow you out, even if everyone else is saying yes. Say yes to the slow, the quiet, the meaningful, even if it makes you weird. Because weird is holy in a world this lost. Finally, embrace mystery. Not everything needs an answer. Not every emotion needs to be fixed. Some things are meant to be felt. Some questions are meant to expand you, not resolve you. The soul doesn't crave certainty. It craves depth. And living soulfully means choosing depth again and again, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's unpopular, even when no one's watching, especially then. Because feeding your soul isn't a one-time event. It's a daily return, a remembering that beneath the noise and numbness and pressure to perform, you are still whole, still worthy, still here. So what now? Now that you've seen the hunger for what it really is, not a failure, not a flaw, but a famine of the soul, what do? You remember. Remember that you were not born for the algorithm. You were not made to be a machine. You are not a product. You are not a profile. You are not a brand. You are a soul. And that means your deepest needs will never be met by metrics, not by going viral, not by making 6 figures, not even by being the best version of yourself, but by being your truest self, the one that's been whispering beneath the noise, waiting for you to hear it. You don't need to burn your life down, or run to the mountains, or delete every app. You just need to begin, one sacred moment at a time. Light a candle and sit in silence. Call someone and say, "I miss you." Write a single honest sentence. Look up at the sky and remember that you're tiny and that it's beautiful. This isn't about escaping reality. It's about waking up to it. Because while the world wants your speed, your soul wants your stillness. While the world wants your attention, your soul wants your affection. And while the world will try to keep you numb, your soul will never stop trying to bring you back to life. And if you've made it this far, prove to yourself you're still listening. In the comments, write, "I will not abandon my soul." Say it not just for me, say it for you. Let it be your vow, your reminder, your return. And if you see someone else say it, like it, reply, witness them. Let this be more than a video. Let it be a reckoning, a soft revolution, a place where the starving remember they can still be full. So take the first step, close the tab, turn down the volume, put your hand on your chest, breathe. You are not alone in this hunger, but you don't have to stay starving. There is a deeper life, a soulful life, that's always been waiting for you. Not someday. Now, come home.